Lewis Barton makes the difficult decision to leave Emmerdale after discovering that Kev Townsend is actually his biological father. Kev returned to the village last week after Liam Kavanagh informed him that Lewis had been abducted. Lewis had been taken hostage by a woman named Kylie, who demanded the return of the diamond necklace Kev had stolen from her. After plenty of encouragement from Ross Barton and Liam, Kev finally accepted that saving his son was far more important than keeping the valuable jewellery and handed the necklace back to Kylie. Once Lewis was safe, Ross ordered Kev to leave the village and never come back. Ross then lied to his younger brother, claiming he was responsible for the kidnapping because he wanted to prevent Kev from becoming part of Lewis's life again. However, Ross underestimated Kev's determination. Ignoring the warning, Kev returned to Daleview, performed an emotional song, and stunned Lewis by revealing that he was his real father. Lewis had no interest in forming a bond with Kev. Having been raised by loving adoptive parents, he couldn't understand why his biological father had suddenly appeared after being absent for so many years. Although Kev was left disappointed by Lewis's reaction, Claudette and Charles Anderson encouraged him, assuring him that he still had the potential to become a good father. Determined not to give up, Kev visited Daleview once more and repeated his wish to build a relationship with Lewis. Despite his efforts, Lewis remained firm in his decision. Wanting to escape everything that had happened over the previous few days, he announced that he was travelling to Cleethorpes to visit the man he considers his actual dad. Before leaving, Lewis made his feelings perfectly clear by telling Kev that he hoped he would be gone from the village before he returned. Although the pair seem miles away from building any kind of father-son relationship, that situation is expected to change in the future, with Emmerdale confirming that Lewis will eventually give Kev an opportunity to prove himself. Even so, their fragile relationship could soon face another major challenge. Upcoming episodes will see the village café targeted in a robbery, and suspicion quickly falls on Kev. While he insists he had nothing to do with the crime, the accusations could make it even harder for him to earn Lewis's trust and repair their broken relationship. Nightmare returns to Emmerdale as Dr. Todd reappears. Dr. Caitlin Todd has made an unexpected return to Emmerdale, but her latest appearance suggests she could soon find herself in serious danger. The sinister doctor left the village just a few weeks ago after accepting a new job in Sheffield. Before leaving, she was questioned by DS Reed over Charity Dingle's accusation that she had raped her. Caitlin insisted that her encounter with Charity had been completely consensual. With no physical evidence to support the allegation, the police had no choice but to release her without charge. After saying farewell to Manpreet Sharma and Vanessa Woodfield, Caitlin departed, leaving Charity emotionally devastated. Only recently, Charity finally revealed the full truth to her partner, Mackenzie Boyd. She confessed that Dr. Todd had raped her and had been blackmailing her over baby Layla's true parentage. The shocking revelation has left Mac struggling to cope. Despite trying to act as though everything is normal around Ross Barton, Sarah Sugden, and the other villagers, he is finding it increasingly difficult to hide his emotions. In today's episode, the village gathered to celebrate baby Layla's christening. While everyone else headed to the church in high spirits, Charity remained at home, desperately trying to convince Mac to attend the ceremony. Mac eventually agreed after Charity reminded him that Layla should not suffer because of the problems between the adults. Although the christening appeared joyful on the surface, Mac found it almost impossible to keep pretending that everything was fine. Later, inside the pub toilets, Mac crossed paths with Kev Townsend, who was quietly filling containers with water for his bakery van and seemed completely unconcerned about almost splashing Mac's shoes. Sensing that something was weighing heavily on Mac's mind, Kev invited him back to the Anderson household for a chat. Over tea and cake, Mac finally opened up about the pain he was carrying. He admitted that Charity had betrayed him, but chose not to reveal the full truth behind everything that had happened. Kev encouraged Mac, telling him that anyone who hurts your family deserves to face consequences. However, Mac feared that taking action might only make the situation worse. Kev advised him to stay calm, think carefully, and act wisely, warning that if he ignored his anger completely, his desire for revenge would only continue to grow. By the end of the episode, Mac arrived at the hospital where Dr. Todd is now employed. When Caitlin asked whether something was wrong, Mac calmly replied that he had a problem and it wasn't going away. With Emmerdale already teasing that a resident will soon become the victim of a violent attack, Mac's chilling words could prove to be a warning of what is about to happen. Could Dr. Todd become the target as Mac sets out to take his revenge in silence? Terror in Emmerdale as a beloved family pet is trapped in a fire started by Kyle. When Graham Foster enrolled Kyle Winchester in the cadets, he hoped it would give the troubled youngster a healthy outlet for the emotions he had been struggling to control. Graham was the first person to discover that Kyle had been secretly setting fire to barns around Emmerdale Farm. During an emotional conversation, Kyle admitted he resented Robert Sugden and Aaron Dingle for taking over his former home and was also finding it difficult to cope with his father's cancer diagnosis. Realizing the fires were a desperate cry for help rather than simple acts of mischief, Graham decided to support Kyle instead of judging him. One of the first steps he took was encouraging the boy to join the cadets in the hope that it would provide structure and purpose. Wanting to inspire him further, Graham also gave Kyle a treasured watch from his own time in the army. Sadly, Kyle's progress doesn't last. After the watch is damaged, he slips back into old habits and once again reaches for a box of matches. In upcoming scenes, Kyle heads to Home Farm, determined to find out whether Joe Tate was truly responsible for his mother's death. Graham arrives shortly afterwards, but Kyle quickly runs away before he can be questioned. Kane and Moira Dingle later notice how shaken Kyle appears, leaving them concerned about what has happened, but unable to understand the reason behind his behavior. The following day, Kyle feels even more isolated after Kane loses his temper during an argument and storms out. Not long afterwards, Kane spots something alarming through the window and rushes outside. To his horror, he discovers that Kyle has accidentally set a shed ablaze and Monty the dog is trapped inside the burning building. Without hesitation, Kane forces the door open and rescues Monty before taking him to the veterinary clinic for urgent treatment. The family's relief quickly turns to fear when Paddy Kirk warns them to prepare for the worst. Overwhelmed with guilt, Kyle blames himself for what has happened, while Kane struggles to control his anger. The heartbreaking news continues the next day when Paddy reveals that Monty has been diagnosed with cancer. After collecting the dog from the vets, Kane takes Monty for a quiet walk while trying to decide what the future holds. During this emotional moment, he realizes how determined he is to help his beloved companion, even though he remains reluctant to face his own cancer diagnosis. As Kane wrestles with his emotions, difficult choices lie ahead. At the same time, Kyle's latest mistake threatens to cause even greater damage to their already fragile father and son relationship. Emmerdale is broadcast every weekday at 8 p.m. on ITV1, with episodes also available to stream on ITVX.